Now, the culture tells us, okay, you got to indulge, because what's your alternative? They only give us one other alternative. You can either indulge or you can repress and say sex is bad, the body is bad. But I'm here today to talk to you about a third way, a third path. And that path is something that we call chastity. Now, what is chastity? Maybe you guys have heard about this before. When you hear the word chastity, maybe think of an uncomfortable belt. Or maybe you think about the word abstinence, which just means you're not having sex. Now, chastity and abstinences are different things, because abstinence is just, okay, you're not having sex, but chastity is a lifestyle. Chastity is sexual integrity. What's chastity?
Sexual integrity.
Sexual integrity. So what is sexual integrity? What's integrity? First of all, let's start with that. Anybody have any ideas on what integrity is? Honesty? Yeah, in a way. Yeah, sure.
Having a good character.
Having a good character. I like that, Gerard. Anyone else have any ideas?
Self-respect.
Self-respect, absolutely. Integrity is definitely self-respect. And I would say integrity is living to the highest standard. What is integrity?
Living to the highest standard.
Integrity is living to the highest standard. No. Integrity is living to the highest standard. What is integrity?
Living to the highest standard.
Thank you, Gerard. Thanks for getting your arm up there in the air. Yes, living to the highest standard. And when it comes to our sexuality, that means living to the highest standard in our sexuality. What that is first and foremost, saving all sexually intimate acts for marriage. Also, it's a lifestyle in the way we dress, talk, dance, date, what kind of music we listen to, what kind of movies we watch on TV, what kind of thoughts we have in our head. All of that is included in sexual integrity. What's more, sexual integrity is a virtue. So just like courage. Courage is a virtue which enables a man or a woman to be brave in the time of battle. Sexual integrity is a virtue which enables a man or woman to be able to love in an authentic way. And we talk about love all the time. I want to give you guys a story and an example of something that could possibly be love, or maybe not. Is the way the culture says love is. Well, let's talk about it. There's a Catholic deacon who was doing marriage prep. And this deacon was talking to this couple. They were getting married in about three months. So he's sitting down there and talking with them, and he was finding that they weren't living by church teachings. They were having sex before marriage, they were living together, they weren't going to Mass every Sunday. And he wanted to see if they really loved each other, if they were really ready to get married. So he asked the guy, he said, hey, now when you guys get married, let's say it's a beautiful wedding in 3 months, are you going to have sex with any other woman as long as you guys both live? He said, of course not, I love her. He said, okay, all right. Now let's say, for instance, you guys get married in 3 months, but a month later, she's driving down the road, she gets hit by a drunk driver, and she's paralyzed for life, quadriplegic. What that means is that you have to spoon feed her. You have to change her diaper. That means no sex for the rest of your life. Are you telling me that you're ready for that type of relationship? And the guy was absolutely silent. Now, I think we realized what the right answer to that question was. Are you ready for that type of relationship? In marriage, better be yes. And this guy was not at that point where he could say that. He couldn't feel like he could honestly say that. He felt like he was in this relationship just for what she could give to him. So he was looking at her as an object for his own fulfillment. He wasn't in it for the love, for the sacrifice. That's a big word when it comes to love, is sacrifice. It's an important thing to remember. We think about Jesus Christ, his sacrifice on the cross. That's authentic love there. Now, what's more, when it comes to chastity, when it comes to sexual integrity, it means that we have the ability to control our sexuality, rather than our sexuality having control over us. Now, why is that important? Well, let me share with you another story. There was a couple who was dating, 15-year-old guy, 15-year-old girl, and the father of the girl wasn't so happy about them dating. He didn't really know the guy too well, so he wanted to see what this guy was made of. So he took his daughter's phone, and he texted the guy. He said, hey, why don't you come over right now? My parents aren't home. I think I'm ready. Text message goes over to the guy. He gets his phone. He's a little bit surprised. He texts back. He says, "Sweetie, I really love you, but I respect you too much and I respect your dad too much. I don't think I can do that." Text message goes back to the girl's phone. The dad looks at the message. Guess what the dad texts back?
This is her.
"Congratulations, you can date my daughter." So what this guy did, in being able to control his sexuality, he was able to recognize that she was worth more than a text message, that she was worth a lifetime commitment. And that's what chastity is, that's what sexual integrity is. It's the strength to use our sexuality in accord with authentic love. And ultimately what this is, it's a yes to God, it's a yes to our future spouse, it's a yes to authentic love. How many of you guys play sports in here? Raise your hands. All right, what do you, Michaela, you play basketball, I know you. And anybody else? Somebody else raise your hand. Okay, never mind. All right, basketball, football, soccer, I know what you guys do. What's that? Swimming, awesome.
Thanks.
Very good. Now, when it comes to an athlete like Michaela, basketball player, so you have to say no to some things. You have to say no to laying on the couch all day. No to eating the wrong types of foods if you want to say yes to being a champion. And it's the same thing when it comes to love, that we have to make these little sacrifices. We have to say no to sex outside of marriage. We have to say no to using pornography because we want to say yes to our future spouse. We want to say yes to authentic love. That's what we're talking about when it comes to chastity. There was a girl one time who, she was 15 years old, and she got into this relationship with a guy. And a couple months into the relationship, he started saying these things. Hey, if you really love me, you're going to do these things with me. She went to her friends thinking, okay, hey, what should I do in this situation? And her friends were like, well, if you're not doing that, that, and that, well, what's wrong with you? And so she started getting into this very physical relationship. And eventually, she was being emotionally abused. She was being physically abused. And the guy ended up cheating on her and leaving her. And of course, she felt like, okay, this guy has walked off with something that he shouldn't have had in the first place, this gift that I was supposed to give to my future husband. Then she went from that relationship to other abusive relationships. Then she ended up getting up into the hookup culture, going to parties and drinking. And eventually, she had a conversation with a man who had been where she was, but then started to live sexual integrity. And as she was listening to this story, she said, I want what he has. He's happy now. He has regrets in the past, but he's happy now that he's living sexual integrity. So what she did was she wrote a letter to her future husband. And from then on, every time that she said no to another guy, she would write a letter to her future husband. So on her wedding night, what she did was she took the stack of letters, she gave them to her future husband. And that is chastity. That's these little no's, which are really a bigger yes.